Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us here at the virtual Princeton Public Library. My name is Nora. I'm a part of our program team, and I'm joined tonight by my colleague, Cassie Smith, and author and crocheter, Yolonda Jordan. We are recording the program this evening, so following the program, it will be available on our YouTube channel. So we encourage you to share that if you have people who you think might be interested in our conversation tonight. We will have a Q&A section following Cassie and Yolanda's discussion. So as the program goes along, if you are inspired to ask something, we encourage you to put that in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. You can also enable captions if you need them using the settings at the bottom of your screen. Our speaker tonight, Yolonda Jordan, began crocheting in her youth thanks to her grandmother. After creating and sharing her first doll design, she started her own business in 2015. And in her book, My Pretty Brown Doll, Crochet Patterns for a Doll That Looks Like You, she says that she aims to explore the art of crochet in a way that celebrates the magic of the African-American experience and celebrates the pretty in every shade of brown. She has patterns online and in her book, which you can find at the library. And I'm going to turn things over to Cassie and Yolanda because they have a really great discussion planned for you. So thank you so much for being here, Yolanda and Cassie, and take things away.
Thank you, Nora. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining Yolanda and myself this evening. I know I am super excited to be here with Yolanda. As I shared with Yolanda, I've been making her dolls since 2018. So I've known Yolanda's work for quite a while now, and I'm so excited, Yolanda, that you can join me in conversation this evening. So welcome.
Thank you, Cassie. I appreciate it so much, so much. I am excited to be here.
So for those of us who don't know your journey, your story as to how we got to these beautiful creations, can you share a little bit about how you've come to be here with us today? A little bit about
yes. Yeah, as Nora had said, so Nora said my grandma, but it was actually my great aunt who taught me how to crochet. And she taught me when I was 7 years old, and no books, no YouTube. It was literally yarn in her hand, yarn in my hand. And she said, do what I'm doing. And I was like, okay. And I did what she was doing. And I made so many dishcloths, as she told me. She was like, oh, look at another dishcloth. And I was just like the dishcloth queen. And I was like, look at my dishcloth, look at my dishcloth. And I made dishcloths for a really long time. And then I stopped crocheting because, of course, you know, I went to college. I thought I was grown, and who crochets? Like, what? Who does that? Not me. I'm, you know, in college and I want to have fun. And so stopped crocheting for all of my college years. And then I was a hospice care consultant. And so working in the hospice community, and I saw one of my coworkers, her mom used the loom crochet, like the little loom thing they have. And I was like, oh my gosh, I remember doing something like that when I was younger, but I didn't do it with that. But I know we did something very similar. And so I ran to Walmart and I'm like standing in the yarn aisle. And I'm like, what did I do? And I saw this book that said, learn how to crochet. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. That's it right there. Yeah. I got that book. I got crochet hooks. I bought all kinds of yarn from Walmart. And I came home and I had no clue what I was doing. I just had yarn everywhere. And I was like, this is not it. And so I kept looking through the book. I pulled up some YouTube videos and figured it out. And I was like, okay, here we go. And so then I started making hats and scarves, and that's all I made was hats, scarves. I made a few shawls too. So hats, shawls, baby blankets. I made a couple of baby blankets. And then I happened to see a doll in Simply Crochet magazine. And I was like, oh, I wonder if I could crochet a doll. And it was just a thought like, can I do it? Never thought that it would be anything other than, can I make one? And so the doll in the book was not a brown doll, but it was a cute doll. And Simply Crochet magazine is in UK terminology. So I was like, oh, I got to figure out, they kept saying double crochet and they mean single crochet. And so it was just like, okay, no, this is not working. So then, of course, I went to Google and I was like, crochet doll. And none of the dolls were dolls of color. And I was just like, well, that's interesting, but not like interesting in a way like I was like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. It was just like, okay,
No,
that's fine. You know, maybe nobody who, maybe this is the first time somebody who looks like me said, oh, I'm going to make a doll. Like my thought was, it's not that it's not a thing. It's just not a thing that's like on Google. So I got some brown yarn and I started crocheting. I was like, okay, here we go. And I named that doll Patience, because when I tell you she tried every bit of patience that I have, I was just like, who would do this? Like, what crocheter would really put themselves through this? Because this is a lot. It was so tedious. I never thought she was going to be done, because it was like single crochet after single crochet after single crochet.
Yes.
And so I was just like, this is too much. And I finished Patience. I posted her on my Instagram as, okay, y'all, I made a doll. Yay for me. Because I didn't think she was the cutest doll. And my Instagram just blew. They were just like, can you make me one? Oh my gosh, she's so cute. Oh my gosh, I've never seen this before. And I'm sitting there like, are we looking at the same thing? No. But it did spark something in me to say, well, let me see if I can do this again. And let me try out different yarns, because the yarn that I used, I learned later on, was not the best yarn to use for amigurumi, but didn't know that at the time. And so I was like, well, let's keep trying. Let's keep trying, and let's keep trying. And then other things, I was like, if I'm gonna keep trying brown dolls, then there are some other things other than just brown yarn that I need to take into account. Like, the most important part was the hair. It was just like, well, what is the hairstyles gonna look like? And so this is how Mia was born. Because for a lot of African-American girls, when you can put your hair into 2 Afro puffs, baby, you made it. Like, that's your rite of passage. When your hair can go into 2 Afro puffs. And so it was like, if I can figure out a way to make Afro puffs with yarn, then I can really make a brown doll. And Mia, not this particular version of Mia, but the original version of Mia is what started me down this path of, can I make brown dolls that really celebrate the pretty in every shade of brown? And celebrate not only just Afro puffs, but braids and beads, locks, and all the different ways that we can wear our hair. And so basically that is kind of how we got here. It was not intentional in the beginning. It became intentional though. As I was going through the process, it became very intentional, because a lot of people were just like, well, why does it have to be my pretty brown doll? And I'm like, because who better to make me than me? Like, I can't speak for anybody else. I can't ask anybody else, why don't you do this, when I can do it myself? Absolutely. And so this is how we got here.
That is amazing. That is amazing. What a journey that you went on to share your gift with the rest of us. It's amazing. I know I've benefited from it. I have 2 daughters, and they're both very different shades of brown. And when I saw your dolls, I literally gasped, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can make one for each of my babies. Like, imagine. I sincerely feel everyone should have one of these dolls in their home. I really
and my thought process, like I said, it wasn't intentional in the beginning, but when it became intentional, for a little girl to look at a doll and be like, oh my gosh, that's me, honey, it trumps any like feeling that I have, like, oh my gosh, I'm tired. Oh my gosh, I don't feel like it. Oh my gosh, is this ever gonna be done? The moment they look at the doll and they see themselves reflected back, then it's just like, okay, it was worth it. It was worth it.
When you see that they're done, and like, I kept telling this to everyone. Every doll that I make, they're so difficult to let go because they
Mhm.
feel real to me. They're like real babies, and like I kiss them and I tell them
Yeah,
everything's gonna be okay.
yeah.
And like it might sound ridiculous to someone who might not relate, but and I heard you say somewhere that each time you make one, it's like you're putting yourself into the doll. It
And
very
that's
feels that
and
way.
that's what it is. And I think it's for crochet. I think that's the beauty in crochet, that it is a piece of you because it's your two hands. And I tell people all the time, like it's not me bragging or me boasting or anything like that, but the beauty in it is my two hands will never do what your two hands do. Even if you have the book, even if you have the pattern, we are all going to create something different because it's your two hands. Somebody who once asked me, they were like, well, what's so different about your dolls? It's a whole bunch of people who crochet dolls. And I was like, me. Like, did you miss the part that it's me? And that's not me acting like, oh, I'm some magical. I am magical, but not, but it's me. I'm like, these two hands right here did this. That is the magic. That's the beauty. And every single doll that leaves here or that I make, it is a part of you are getting a piece of Yolanda every single time.
Every time. And I sincerely believe that. Being able to make that and know that feeling, it's unlike anything I think that I've ever felt when creating anything that I've given before. I don't know what it is. I swear, like your patterns have magic in them.
Well, thank you.
Well,
Thank you. Because that is the goal. A little piece of magic. And I tell people to remember that they are the magic. It's
yeah.
not just me. You have magic. This person has, like, the
Yeah.
magic is you.
Yeah.
That's the magic. That's the
Yeah.
beauty of it. Like, I had some people, they were just like, well, I can't make mine look exactly like yours. Why would you want that? Like, I don't want that for you. You shouldn't want that for you.
Yeah.
Your interpretation of what this should look like or what this should be is the magic. That's the beauty in it.
Absolutely.
And so that's the part that I love about it. That's why I'm excited about it. That's why I get passionate about it. That's why when you were like, do you want to come and do it? Yes, I do.
One thing I was gonna say was that even when you make a second doll, she's still not gonna be exactly like the one you made before or
Nope.
the one that's gonna come after. So you
Nope.
are literally getting a unique one of a kind.
And
The
yep,
box.
that's what I tell people. I'm like, because of course I get people who are like, oh, I want the one that you made like in this picture. And I'm like, I can do something similar, but due to the nature of it, it will not be that. Like, I tell people, even the time that I crochet, from me crocheting in the early morning or me crocheting in the late night, you're gonna get something different just because my tension. Like, I might be more relaxed, or I'm a little bit more like, oh my gosh, this needs to be perfect. Or if it's the first time I'm trying something. So all of those things go into what this is going to be. And like you just said, every single one of them is one of a kind for that reason right there. Because it's just like, even if I wanted to, I can't duplicate it and make the same thing. They can be similar, but they will never be exactly the same.
Even the way the moon is hanging in the sky affects the way you make. Like
Exactly.
you never know, which is again makes them so special. Let's segue into the book because wow, what a book. This is the book right here. I've
Yes.
never seen a book like this before. You are not kidding. The beauty in every shade of brown. Look at this. This is just absolutely gorgeous.
Yes. And shout out to Abrams for contacting me to publish a book. This was not supposed to be out in the world. If I had anything to do with it, it would not have made it out into the world. I am so thankful for people who were persistent, who saw something in me that I did not see in myself. I don't want to cry. I'm not going to cry. But when they first approached me, the answer was no. Like they said, hey, we are interested. Well, first, I thought it was a scam. First. Like she emailed me and she was like, hi, I'm such and such. I'm an editor at this publishing company and we would be interested in working with you. And I deleted it because I was like, oh, these scammers are getting good.
You did not delete it.
I was like, ma'am, like, who are you? So then I get another email and I'm just like, well, let me just check. And so I go and I look up Abrams and the first thing I see is Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I have an older son and this used to be his favorite book series ever. I like to pass out because I was just like, girl, did you really delete their email? Like, did you delete their email? What is wrong with you? Like, have you lost your mind? So I'm like emailing her back, like, I think this is real. Like, sure, we can chat. A book has never crossed my mind, but sure, we can talk about it. And so we got on the phone and she was telling me all about the publishing company and what they were thinking. And she was like, I would love to send you some books and you can kind of look them over and see, some other craft books that we've done and what that might look like. I'm like, okay. I got the books and I was just like, okay, but it's still a no. I don't want to write a book. No, thank you.
So why not?
It just was not on. To be honest, I didn't think that I was the right person to do it. Although I have patterns that are out in the world, a book to me opens up it just opens yourself up for people to be like, I don't like that, or this is not good, or who does she think she is to be able to write a book? And there was also this part of me that thought that they were going to want something that I was not going to be able to do. I am my pretty brown doll. There is no changing that. I celebrate the pretty in every shade of brown. Are you really going to want a book titled My Pretty Brown Doll? By the way, this was not the title of the book. Shout out to Abrams, because they was like, baby, why wouldn't we call the book My Pretty Brown Doll? And I was like, because, I don't want anybody to feel like the book is not for them. And the goal of a publishing company is for you to sell as many books as possible. And if we call the book My Pretty Brown Doll, some folks may not buy it because it's called My Pretty Brown Doll. They were like, the book is My Pretty Brown Doll.
That's amazing.
And so how we got to a yes with them is my mother passed away during our conversation. So they reached out to me initially in February. She sent me the books. My mother passed away in April of 2019. And one of the things that my mother and I talked about a lot is, what's the legacy that you're going to leave? The book is a permanent legacy. Like, this is something that can never, ever, ever, ever. My book is in a library. Like, what, you can literally go to a library and check out a book with my name on it.
Excuse me, we have 2 of your books in our library, plus an ebook. So we have 3 versions of copies.
Like, I'm just like, and so, my mother passing away immediately turned the no into a yes, because I was just like, who am I to say no to this? Mm-hmm. Who am I that I would actually say no to this? And so it immediately became a yes. And it was a easy yes from that standpoint, but the book itself was, again, all of those doubts were still there. All of those, is this going to be good enough? What is this going to look like? What if people don't like it? And it just falls flat. And then I told myself, but even if it falls flat, it's still out there. Like,
Exactly.
Like, even if only like 2 people bought it, it's still a book out. Like, you can now call yourself an author because it's out there. It is like, it's real. And the crazy thing about it is, did I really think it was gonna bomb? Like, girl, have you seen?
Excuse me. Like what? Like excuse me? Like gorgeous,
I had 'em,
gorgeous.
like, how did I think this was going to bomb? Like, how? Because first, I mean, geez, Louise,
It's so pretty.
it is. You know, shout out to the photographer.
Yes.
And they flew, I got flown out. They flew me out. It's like, oh my gosh, I get to get flown out. Thank you very much. But they did fly me to Georgia. And me and the photographer, I was happened to be 6 months pregnant at the time. So she was very patient with me. And she was a food photographer. This was her first time taking photos
Okay.
of like crochet work. Now she's taken photos of artists in their space working, but never like just still photos.
Okay.
And she took my feedback and my input so well. And I was so super appreciative of her because I was just like, well, we can't, you know, we got to turn down the light on this because like this is not gonna work because this is a dark brown and you can't have that dark, like you're gonna wash her completely out and we're gonna have to switch the angle and she was just like, I hear you. I like, we're gonna make this work. And then I was there for 2 days and I had to leave and she was still not done. Like we didn't have this cover photo yet. And so I left all my dolls there and she made this magic happen. And she, like, it was just amazing. The clothesline was her idea to hang the clothes on the clothes. Like,
that's such a good idea.
I was like, this is so cute. And
like,
it was funny because
I'm sorry, go ahead.
They were just like, are those your hands? Who else's hands would they be? Like, yes, those are my hands. Like I have to show people the bracelet. Those are my hands in this book. Because
well, speaking of your hands, I saw you repost this emotional review of your book by a young woman on TikTok. And she said, I've never seen Black hands in a pattern book before. That touched me to my core because representation is important.
It is. And the thing with crochet is we don't know that it's not there until we notice that it's not there because, you know, the thought behind it is, well, I just want to learn the stitches. Who cares what color the hands are until you see brown hands and then you realize, because it's very easy to act as if a thing is not a thing until you actually see it. It's very easy to say people of color don't do a thing until you see them do a thing. Do you know how many people like really look at me kind of weird when I say, no, I made that? As if I'm lying.
No,
and my 2 hands didn't make it. Like I had somebody say, no, for real, what store did you get it from? You know, you can call Target if you got to connect and you can get my dolls in there. Then we can say, I still made it, but you brought it from Target, if that makes you feel better. But it is true that sometimes you don't realize how important a thing is until you actually see it. And so I know what video you're talking about. And, you know, she touched me too, because she was just like, you know, now when I give this to other little girls who look like me, I can say, no, for real, you can do this because she's like, look, that's her doing it. And you look like her. So you can do this. And so it was super important for my hands to be in it. That's why I made sure that they were just like, can I be at the photo shoot? Like, I know you have a photographer already, but we need to find a way to get me there because this cannot happen without me being present. Absolutely. And then when it came to, well, you know, are we going to take pictures of you doing certain things? Absolutely. My nails are done. Let
me put some lotion on.
Let me get some Vaseline. So, you know, we have But yes, these are going to be my hands. So yes, absolutely.
So like, to answer your question, if not you, then who? Right? If not you, then who? And who's going to want to make these dolls? Everyone, because they're gorgeous.
Well, thank you. And I will say that the response was overwhelming, and it was like, I can't even think. I'm trying to think if there may have been one or two negative comments, if that, but not anything like the positivity. People got it. Like, they understood what was happening, and they understood that this in no way is saying that it's not for you, or you shouldn't do it, or only brown dolls are pretty. That's in no way is that what this is saying. What this is saying is, for the little brown girl who may not think she's pretty, here's a little something to remind you that you are. I tell people all the time, because they're like, well, pretty is more than what you look like. That is true. But when you are constantly told that you are not the standard of pretty, you sometimes need a reminder that I can be pretty too. And so if you get a doll and somebody says, well, that doll is pretty, and that doll looks like you, doesn't that mean that you're pretty too?
Yes.
And so I'm just like, I get it, because people are just like, well, it's not about what you look like. I get it. And I hear you. It's not. But again, when you're constantly told your hair's not right, your nose are not right, your lips are too big, why you gotta wear these bright colors, why does your hair look like that? Sometimes you just need a little reminder that your Afro puffs are perfectly fine. They're okay. It's okay.
That's how your hair grows out of your head, and that is beautiful too. That is beautiful too. And in this space, in this maker fiber art space, it's not an or, it's an and. Like, everyone belongs.
Exactly.
So you're not excluding anyone. You're introducing this very specific thing.
I love that. I love that.
Like, be inclusive. We're not. It's not about exclusivity. It's about inclusivity.
Like, you're like, and I say that all the time. Like, no, because they're like, oh, I don't want to offend if I make one. Who are you offending? Like, who would you be offending because you decide that you want to make a My Pretty Brown doll? And here's the thing: it's every shade of brown, whether you want to believe it or not. We all got a little bit of brown. Like, it's every single shade, and that's the beauty. It comes in all these beautiful shades of brown, from the lightest light to the darkest dark. We fall in there somewhere.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. I'm gonna get into a couple of process questions.
Okay.
My first question, this can be controversial, and I think I know what your answer will be, but magic loop or magic ring, and why? I already know.
It is team magic ring all day, every day. Without a doubt. I don't know how anybody doesn't chain anything. Like, what? Yeah, I'm team magic ring. If you did not know it, listen, if you are watching and this is your first introduction to me, this is me all the time. Like, I don't know how to be anything else. I probably should have gave a disclaimer at the beginning of this to have headphones, because I tend to get, a little loud when I get excited. I've been known to wake up babies and scare dogs because they're just like, who is that hollering? It's me. But to answer your question, team magic ring. There is no chain 4, 2, whatever y'all are chaining to make it. Why? Why would you do that to yourself? Please learn the magic ring. If you plan, no, in all seriousness, I actually have a video that shows you how to do both. But I am team magic.
I am the same. Magic ring all the way. As soon as I realized, like, wait, I can, and then you can pull it nice and tight.
Yes!
Perfect.
I have a friend who swears that she does not trust it. She's just like, oh, I don't trust it. It's magic. I said, because I'm magic. So why wouldn't I do the magic ring? Like, it's just magic from the beginning. If you change, you lose the magic from the beginning. Like, so there's no change. Magic ring.
I knew what your answer was going to be. I wanted to put it out there.
Oh, I appreciate it. So now the people know there's no confusion. You heard it here first.
So you have so many, I've been on your Instagram countless times. You have so many different doll designs.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you draw inspiration for your designs?
So Instagram actually is a huge place. Like, I love to scroll Instagram and just see what some of the Black girl magic out there looks like. A lot of the doll designs in the book were inspired by people who I've seen on Instagram, and I've shared a couple of them on my Instagram. Like the scientist doll there is someone she calls herself Sister Scientist, and she is African-American woman, has her own lab, and she does like hair care products. Like, she's the person behind some of these major hair care brands. And if you see her and then you see the scientist doll, you will see how they kind of go together. Because it's just like, oh, where'd you get? Oh, I get it now. I see it. And so, in the schoolgirl, same thing. There was this image of this little girl. She was going to school. She had her lunchbox, and she actually had a full afro.
Okay.
But I just imagine, like, if her mom had put her hair in ponytails with the barrettes on it. So I do draw a lot of inspiration from Instagram, from natural hairstyles. Because like when I see different hairstyles, it's just like, what do I have to do with the yarn to make that happen? Mm-hmm. And then I tend to, my dolls are like, I think I want to say like me, but just all the different versions of me. It's like, today I feel like this, and today I feel like this. Even the Parisian doll, or the Parisian inspired doll, my Paris doll. So I actually went to Paris, and I was in Paris dressed up every day. And my friend was just like, honey, what are you doing? And I'm like, because baby, if you're in Paris, you should like wear design, like what? Who comes to Paris in jeans and a t-shirt? Like that, the word Paris, jeans and a t-shirt don't even sound like it go together. It sounds like I need a peacoat, a beret. I need to be dressed to the nines in Paris. Like, that's what it sounds like. And so that's what I did. And so when I made this doll, I was like, baby, we're gonna make you a peacock, and it's gonna sparkle, because as you should.
Why not?
Why not? So that's like, it's really me. And then, other, like I said, Black girl magic that I see on Instagram and in other places. It's kind of like, can I do this with yarn?
When I saw your Serena doll, I was amazed. What made you want to make a Serena doll?
So I do have this list of just doll ideas, like, because if I can't get to it right away, I'll just add it to the list. Like, one day, this is a design. And Serena had been at the top of the list for a very long time. And when I found out she was pregnant and she was having a baby, I was like, oh my gosh, what if she don't play tennis no more? I was like, what if she decide not to come back? I was like, you gotta make this doll before she retires. Like, it's gonna, like, nobody's gonna know who she is, even though I know everybody still knows who she is. My mind was like, if she doesn't play tennis anymore, nobody's gonna know. You need to have this doll to remind the people that this lady played tennis. So clearly she came back, and that year that she came back, when she went to the US Open and she wore that tutu, I was just like, oh, this is it. Oh, this is it. And then my thought had always been that it was going to be Serena with braids, because that's how I was introduced to her. Yeah. She walked out on the court with braids. And so the thought process is, what would younger Serena say to older Serena? And that's when she did the Nike commercial about, it's it's impossible until it's done. And then all of that just all came together at the perfect moment in time for me to be able to make that doll. And I will say it is one of my favorite dolls, only because I don't sketch. So a lot of doll makers, they like sketch out their designs. Yes. I don't sketch. I see it in my head and it's like, okay, now translate this with the yarn. She is one of the few dolls that the vision I had in my head translated exactly with the yarn. Like everything that I wanted her to be, from the tutu to the little sleeve to the little Nike symbol to the beads, everything. I was just like, this is it. Like I could not have done, because other dolls I look at and I'm like, oh, I could have did this better. Mm-hmm. Oh, I should have did this. Oh, on the next one, I'm gonna try to do this. But that one right there, it was nothing that needed. I was like, I don't care who don't like her. She's perfect. She is absolutely perfect.
Well, you can't look at that doll and not know that it's Serena Williams. Like you did an impeccable job.
Well, thank you. Because she is like I said, one of my, like, I cried. And she did sell them I know her, I believe Serena saw it. I know for sure her husband saw it because he liked it. But I don't know, she never commented it. And then someone wanted her for her classroom. And so I couldn't say no. I was like, oh, well, that was the whole reason I made it, is so that the kids would remember. Like, this was a real thing. Yeah. And so I was like, I don't want it to go, like, because we'll forget real quick. We cannot forget that she was like, she has dominated tennis for so long. Like, she is the GOAT. Right. And so and so when she said, well, she's going to go in my classroom. Oh, she's yours. Yes, ma'am.
That's amazing. So I think you gave us a little bit of insight into your creative process. So my next question was going to be, do you write out the patterns that you make first, or do you have a vision and then make a doll and then write the pattern after?
And so this is also the other reason why I did not think I was the right person for a book, because I write down nothing. And then I forget. And then I have, we have to start all over again because I have no clue what I did. And I literally have to start all over again. And so there are some things that I probably didn't do that way, but we're going to say I did it that way because, yes, I should. And I've even gone as far as on my phone, try to record voice notes while I'm working, because I'm like, okay, so you're not going to stop and write. So how about you record, just talk it out, just say it out loud. We chained 56 and then we did this and then we did that. No, that didn't work either, because I go back and listen to the voice note and I'm like, you did what? No, you did not. That is not what you did. Ma'am, who are you talking to? What is this other, and so, no, when I decide that I want it to be a pattern, then I have to go back and then I have to make myself write it down. But no, my process is not, I wish that it was, because this would be so much easier. But unfortunately, it's not. And the people who know me really well, also know that I don't like to use stitch markers. And so if my stitch marker ever falls out, we're just gonna keep going and just stop when it looks right.
When it looks right.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this, okay, yeah.
That's about right.
Are these arms the same length? I think, yeah. It's okay. I mean, one can be slightly longer than the other, right? That's okay.
Listen,
I am a complete disaster, is right.
Not at all. But
I tell other people, I'm like, don't do what I do. If you want to be successful at this, just do everything completely opposite from me, and then you will be great.
When you say put your stitch marker on the last stitch, I obey. my stitch marker is not far away because I get lost in those rounds. And if
Oh
I-
yeah, absolutely. And so do I, but I'm just like, it'll work itself out.
and it obviously does. Obviously.
It'll come out. Well, again, and this is why, like, because people are just like, oh, are you doing a pattern for that? And I'm just like, y'all just love putting the pressure on me, don't you? No, because I don't know what I'm doing, people. No, there is no pattern for that. This is also why, we signed contracts for this book in 2019. However, it was not released until 2023 or 22 because when they said, so where did you, and I'm just like, what number are you talking about, ma'am? Because I don't know what you're talking, like, because there was a tech editor. My first introduction to a tech editor was with this book.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that she has told people, don't ever work with me ever again, because I probably was that lady's worst nightmare. Because she would send me emails and I'll be like, ma'am, excuse me, do you crochet? What are you talking about? Because and she's like, Yolanda, on line 26, you said, and I'm like, yeah, so just do that. And she's like, no, ma'am, we cannot. We need you to explain what's happening here. And I'm like, you're making a doll. Like, what is there to explain? So yeah, this took 2 years because of me. Because like I said, somebody said in the chat, a creative disaster. That's my new word for myself. I am a creative disaster.
No. So in that same vein, that same line of questioning, I have asked you on Instagram, I've asked you on YouTube, when are you going to make a doll, a pattern for a boy doll?
So I actually do have one on my hooks. I really do. Because there is supposed to be a book number 2. And book number 2 is supposed to have boy dolls in it. But I have to, because of how I work, I need to make a boy doll. And I have made a boy doll before, but I never wrote anything down. And for me, the important aspect again is going to be the hair. Like in my mind, I envision high tops, we got fades, we got, locks, we got cornrows going back. Can I mimic that and it still, be identified as a male doll? Can I do that? And so it's probably gonna be a while because that little fade situation, like, because I really do need that yarn to kind of like fade out, like, and I'm like, do I get a marker and color this thing? Like, what does this look like? How can I really make this look like he got a fade? How can I make this look like he got a high top? How can, so it's those questions for me.
Yeah.
Because the rest, the body doesn't necessarily have to be so, a huge difference. We might give him 1 or 2 abs, but not drastic. I mean, or he could have, a dad body. I don't, see, these are the things that go through my mind. Because it's just like, well, and then, if we're talking about the African American community, he got to have a beard for the God. I mean, that beard got to be on point. Or is it? So these are the things that go through. Like, if you ever wanted to know, like, well, what is her creative process? This is my creative process. If I was not talking to Cassie, I would literally be sitting here talking to myself like, come on, Yolanda. Now that beard don't even, like, whose beard is that? Is that really a Black man's beard? I don't know, because come on now, it's looking a little patchy. We got to fill it up. So these are the things that go through my mind when y'all say, well, when are you gonna make, and here's the thing, because you say a boy doll, and my mind immediately goes to, well, I have to have an adult version and then like a little boy version as well. Like, it can't be one or the other.
Oh no, it can't.
Because we have to represent both.
Got it.
Because of what people like to say. So for me, I got to show up with both because we got dads over here.
That's true. That's true.
And I'm not gonna do mom and kids and no dad. Like, I'm not gonna set us up. Like, when I see, people don't think make sure that this looks like what it is and not what some people try to portray it as. This is what it is over here. And so there will be, if there's a boy,
there's gotta be a dad. Love it. Absolutely.
Or and to be, political, an adult male. Maybe a father figure, I don't know, however y'all want to call it, there will be both. It can't be one without the other. Not for me personally. So yeah. Just know when it comes out, it will have both. And you'll be like, oh, I get where she's going with this.
100%. 100%. I totally get that. Totally. Last question about process. I know that I do this. Do you either listen to music, listen to a book, binge watch TV, or watch a movie when you're making,
So I either go binge watch TV. So I have my three go-tos, but my first go-to is a TV show. So if there's a TV show because right now it's The Fear of the Walking Dead. So yes, I did a little what is called a real story, whatever they call it, and my eyes were like this, because I was like up down. So that's my first choice, is some type of TV series, like not a movie. It has to be a TV show because I have to know the voices. With the movie, it's like, because it's this one, I may not recognize the voices. Okay. With the TV show, we've built these characters up. I know what Morgan sounds like I know his voice. So I know when he's talking. So TV series, then if we're not going to do a TV series, then my second choice is going to be a podcast, and it has to be a crime podcast. Like I want to know who did it and why. So yeah, or if somebody's missing, like, can we find this person? Let's put all the clues together. Like I really think that I'm a detective, and I'm like going to the store now, looking at, I think she looked like that girl that's missing. Like, no, Yolanda, that is not her. Stop going up to people like, were you on that show? I think people are looking for you. No, they're not. That's not her. Stop. Like, you're crazy. Like, stop. But crime podcast, and then last but not least, I will listen to a book. Sometimes those books, depending on who's reading them, will put me to sleep instead of the crime podcast and the TV shows, they make me keep working because it's just like, well, I was going to binge this anyway, so I might as well work while I'm binging it. But the Audible books, it's just like, who's reading this? Who's reading this? I will tell you the best one that I've listened to is Their Eyes Are Watching God. Ooh. And Ruby D is the narrator. When I tell you, she painted, like, it was literally like watching a movie. She read that book so well. Like she did and she reads the whole book. So she does the male voices, and I'm telling you, I could listen to that over and over and over again because she did I was like, okay, Ruby D, you just do all the books because you like really made me think that I was watching a movie with this book. So that's the best one that I've listened to. Right now, I'm listening to Viola Davis' book, and she does a really good job too. Okay. She reminds me of myself so much. I'm just like, oh girl, did we live the same life? Other than I'm not famous, but we live the same life.
I love how authentic she is. And I love everything she's ever acted in.
Yes. And she reads the book that way, but it's also like, oh, she's real. Like this is not a movie. This is her real life. Right. And so, and I mean, she just like from the beginning, she just jumps right into it. And I'm just like, okay, like, girl, I know
you. So next question. So we just celebrated MLK Day, and we are about to embark on Black History Month. And not to like be cliche with like, the programming, but I wanted to get your thinking on why you think it's important to, we're often celebrated, but also segregated to 1 month of the year. Why
Mhm.
do you think is important, especially in the maker space, in the fiber art space, to highlight different backgrounds, people of different backgrounds all throughout the year?
Well, and this is one of the reasons why when people say, well, have you thought about, like, what if it wasn't My Pretty Brown Doll? What if you just made dolls? This is one of the reasons why it will always be My Pretty Brown Doll. Regardless of what I make, it will always be for the culture. I don't know any other way to show up. For me, it is Black History 365. Like, what? February is great. And I think February is a great time to remind people of the excellence. But just as a little, this is just a reminder that we are excellent and that we do excellent things. And in the maker space, for me, what's important is just to just say we are here. I think it's important because the truth is, this is a space that is dominated by people who do not look like me. That is just the truth. Those are the facts. And so for me, it is important for me to make sure that in everything I do, I make sure I highlight the people who look like me. Again, that is not to say that you are not welcome in my space. That is not to say that I can't clap for you or celebrate you if you do something great. It is to say that we do this too. Yeah. Like and we do a really good job at it. Like that's the other part of this. Because somebody's like, she was a white woman, and she was just like, oh my gosh, I never thought that I could use the pom-pom maker to make Afro puffs. And I was like, and you probably would have why would that thought have crossed your mind? For what reason would you have had to say, I'm going to get a pom-pom maker and make Afro puffs? Because for you, it's going to be a pom-pom. For me, I don't ever see a pom-pom, ever. Even when it's supposed to be a pom-pom, I'm like, oh, look at the little Afro puff. baby, those are pom-poms. Those are little garlands that they decided they are Afro puffs for me. For like, I don't call it a pom-pom maker. Look at this Afro puff maker. So this is what you like, man, what? Those are pom-pom makers. They're Afro puff makers. That's right. I don't, like when I saw it, that's what I saw. I was just like, when I thought to myself, how are you gonna mimic Afro puffs? I know what to use. Like it just hit me immediately. And so when she emailed me and she was just like, this is so, and I'm just thinking to myself, but is it? It's really not, but it is. I get it. And this is nothing, like not a slight against her, not, I was happy that she didn't like feel like she didn't come at me and be like, oh, those are just pom-poms. Because there are some people who feel like that too. But she didn't. She was just like, I just wouldn't have never thought that it would have been as easy as using a pom-pom maker. Like, because she really, and in my mind, I was like, do you think I like cut little strips of yarn? And like, I'm trying to figure out what you thought I did to make this. But I'm glad that I could be helpful and that this worked out for you. The same thing with making cornrows and, you're slip stitching or single crochet stitching. And people are just like, oh, that's what you did? Yes. The same way you say it's surface crochet, it is surface crochet. Yes. On the doll head. Like we're on the doll head, people. Yes. And this is what's happening. So those kind of things and highlighting them and just being like, listen, I have something important to say too. I have something to add to the community too. My voice in this community is important too. Because, shout out to Abrams for reaching out to me and saying, hey, this is what we want to do. But how many people are really reaching out to people who look like me and say, oh, I want to work with you. Or I want to do this with you. I remember when I first started and people were like, well, such and such, why do we have to pay for your patterns? This person just gives these patterns for free. I said, I know her privilege allows her to give those patterns for free. I don't have those same privileges. And so I need you to run me my coins. What? I do not have the same privileges. And once we begin to recognize that and understand that even in this community, right, the resources, right, the privilege that you have, like I am so excited that you guys are doing the crochet along there at the library and that it's free. Because do you know how many people like would not be able to participate if there was a cost involved because they can't afford to go buy a crochet hook, they can't afford to go buy yarn. Yeah. And that goes, that's across the board. I don't even think race really plays a huge part in that. That's just, inflation. Because how much is yarn now? Like, how much am I paying for a skein of yarn? Because I remember when it used to cost this much. Why is this like $7? Like, when did this become 8, 9? Like, yeah. So to answer your question, for me, it's just important to highlight us, to explain, to recognize that, yes, we are in this community and yes, we do good work. And, you don't have to, I'm going to get off my soapbox. It's just, again, we're here and we're doing excellent things. And the same way, like Cassie, I don't know you, but you said that you've been making my patterns since 2018. Like, that's like, to me, I'm just like, wow. So and there are other people who are on this call who have been rocking with me for a long time. And for me, it's just like, I am so happy that I have, that people find me and they appreciate what I'm doing. Yes. At the same time, there are still people who are just like, who is she? Mm-hmm. She do what? Mm-hmm. And I be thinking I'm out here, girl, I'm famous. And they be looking at me like, girl, we do not know you. And I'm like, oh, never mind. Never mind. It's okay. One day though, you're gonna know who I am. One day. Oh, is our time up, Nora? Nora came back on like, okay, y'all, wrap it up.
I'm sliding in for a commercial break, shall we call it? This has been such a joy to listen to, this conversation. So much fun. I've learned so much, and just a delight to hear you talking about this process, Yolanda, what it means to you. And I know everybody in the chat and attending has felt the same way. We are not done yet, so please stick with us. Again, brief commercial interlude. I want to again share that we are indeed doing a crochet along where you can sign up and we will give you the supplies, and over 4 sessions you're going to make a beautiful doll. I'm going to hold up one that Cassie made. I did not make this. She's so beautiful. She's so adorable. She has these little shoes that just touch me. I don't know. This is so sweet. Cassie, you have yours there.
A hair bow. Yeah. Is that the tool too? Her hair bow? Is that tool?
No. I found it in Walmart. It's a little a fake flower that I just wrapped around her.
Oh, it's so cute. It goes with the tool so well that I really thought it was like tool.
And Yolanda, you might not know, but she's wearing the Princeton Public Library colors, which is red and white.
Okay. Go Princeton. I like that.
Mine has little shoes too, and a gold ribbon on her leg. She's so cute.
They look so good,
Cassie. Thank you. Like I said, I've been making them a long time.
They look really good.
Oh, they're so beautiful. We do have some questions from the audience, which I'd like to begin if you're ready. We have some questions about yarn. We have 2 that sort of go together. So I'm going to ask sort of things together, and then you break out if you need to. So we had a question: are the yarn complexions available online? What brands and what kind of stuffing then is used for the body, arms and legs? Is the head stuffed differently? And then we had another person who mentioned that they've been using the Lion brand Skein Tones yarn to match. And then if you have yarns you prefer to use. So
yes,
talk us through your yarn.
I do recommend the Lion brand Skein Tones because they do have a whole, I think it's like 12 colors. And they were actually my good friend Aniqua from My Kind of Thing. She consulted with Lion brand to help bring those colors to market. So though she named them, she kind of sent them color palettes. And so that's one of the other reasons why I like to support it. But I also support it because it does work really, really well. This doll right here is made from Lion brand Skein Tones. So yes, I do recommend Skein Tones. I also, now, you will hear a lot of people who do amigurumi who will not agree with me on this, but I do use cotton yarn My ballerina, my mini ballerina, she is Hobby Lobby. I love this cotton in the color antique gold. All of the dolls that I've made in the very beginning of my doll making journey was the cotton yarn. I just like the way the cotton yarn works up. To me, I just prefer it. You can try it and decide for yourself. That's the awesome thing about it, because I tell people all the time, get the yarn, do like I have a little keychain pattern, make a little keychain and see if you like the way the yarn works up, because some people really don't like it. I absolutely love the cotton yarn. So yes, I make dolls with cotton yarn as well. I will say that in addition to the Line Brand Skein Tones, Red Heart Super Saver has some really nice browns as well. Again, I think it comes down to your preference and what you like working with. And I just recommend that you try it, see if you like it. And if you like it, then stick with it. And that's literally how I decide. Like, I'll try yarn, like my very first, not my first doll, but the first time I tried to make a doll, not Patience, but a doll that was like even worse than Patience. I use Care Simply Soft. That is not the yarn to use for me. That's not the yarn to use for doll making, because it is too soft and it's just not going to hold up. With that being said, let's talk about stuffing. I only use one brand of stuffing, and it's Fiber World. It's the only brand I've ever used. They now make a Fiber World dark, polyfill dark.
Yes.
I absolutely love it. It is basically just a brown polyfill, and I love it, especially for the brown dolls. But prior to that, that's all I used was their polyfill, their regular polyfill. That's the Fiber World polyfill. That's all I've ever used. Somebody told me about some pellets and things like that. Never tried any of that. I've always just used regular fiber polyfill from Fiber World. And stuffing, always stuff as you go. Do not wait until you finish a whole leg or a whole arm or your whole head and then try to stuff it. It's not going to work. The stuffing is what gives the doll the shape. And so you want to stuff as you go so that you can shape the doll as you go. Now, as far as I've had some people who are like, they do light stuffing in the legs and then heavier stuffing in the head. Again, that's your personal preference. Like, if you want them to be, a little more floppy, that's your thing. If you want it to be a little bit more firm, stuff it more firm, but stuff as you go. Either way, stuff as you go. So I think that answers the yarn and the stuffing question.
Yes, I think that does. We had a question, which doll pattern would you recommend for beginner?
So the classic, if you have the book, so just the base doll from the book is gonna be, but there is a original Mia pattern that I have on Etsy that has non-removable clothes. I like her because it just kind of gets you into the comfort of crocheting in that continuous round. That's the hardest thing about doll making. It's crocheting in the continuous round and controlling your tension, because as you get more relaxed, you'll start getting a little bit more loose. Or if you're a person like that holds your hook really, really tight, you'll notice that your stitches are too tight. So if you have the book, the basic doll is really, really easy. Like, I've had a lot of people say that's the first doll they've ever made, and they were able to follow the directions. But if you don't have the book and you want to go check it out at the library. But if you want to get it on Etsy, you can get my pattern on Etsy as well for one of the regular, like I said, the one without the removable clothes.
We had a follow-up question to the stuffing discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about the dark fiber film.
Mm-hmm.
Becky has been unable to find it online. What is your?
It is not. It's only available at Joann's. Joann Fabric is Joann's, or is it Joann Fabric? Y'all know which store I'm talking about.
I do. I think it's Joann Fabrics, but now both of them sound wrong.
No, Joann Fabric. That is the only place that you can find polyfill dark. Now, they do have it on their website. So if you go to Joann's website, you can get it off of their website, but that's the only place that they have it available right now. You're welcome, Becky.
Yes, Becky is going to be joining us in our crochet along program. We have a couple staff members who crochet and are very excited to make dolls. It's going to be a lot of fun. I am not a crocheter myself. I do embroidery, so that's my textile craft.
Tried that before too. Wasn't my thing.
All right, we've all got to do our different tasks, and that's great.
Yes.
If we have any other questions from the audience, please feel free to add them to the Q&A box. But Cassie, I think you maybe had a couple other questions if you want to jump to your next one. And then if anybody from the crowd has a question, please pop that in the box. We got a few more minutes here.
Thank you, Nora. Yeah, just a couple more questions and then we can wrap it up. Again, thank you everyone for joining us. Really, really appreciate you. Yolanda, I'm having such a great time.
I know, right? It's like talking to an old friend, Cassie, for real. Like, it's funny because like Cassie told me that she had questions and I never said, well, can you send me the questions? Because I honestly, when people say that, I don't like to know the questions ahead of time because I'm going to read them and then I might have a rehearsed answer. I prefer me in my raw form. Like, this is Yolanda. So that's why I didn't ask for them ahead of time. I was like, well, she can ask whatever she wants. And y'all are going to get my real raw answers.
Well, I'm obviously biased, but I think you're perfect.
Thank you.
In interviews before, and I literally told this to my daughter today. She said, "Mommy, are you nervous about because believe it or not, this is my first time."
Oh my gosh, no, I would have never known that.
So
doing great.
Well, thank you. So are you. So I literally said it to my daughter. She seems like she could be a friend. Like you're talking to a friend, and you've been absolutely amazing. You're so
I seriously, it has been like talking to a friend.
Oh,
like,
please.
So thank you.
So as a Black female artist, female fiber artist, what would you say is the biggest hurdle that you've faced so far in your career?
Just not having access to certain resources. And I think, because part of me wants to say, well, that could be anybody, Yolanda. Like, that doesn't necessarily have to be because you are a Black woman. But part of me believes that it's because I'm a Black woman that I just do not have access, or it's just not as easy for me to get certain things. So I have to work a little bit harder. One of my friends told me this one time before, and it has stuck with me. She said, people hear with their eyes. And that has stuck with me so much so that sometimes I even get afraid to like get on camera because it's just like, well, I have to show up as me. And if they don't like what I look like, then they're going to miss this awesome information that I have because I don't look like what they think a person who should have this information looks like. Does that make sense? It's like,
yes,
I can't show up as anybody but me.
Yes.
And if you are going to let that stop you from getting I have this valuable information. And because you can't get past this, you're going to miss it.
Yes.
You're going to miss, or it's not credible, or it's not. And this might be just me in my own head, but no, it's not. I have too much evidence of it to be true. So no, it's not me in my own head. I've had people question me,
right,
and say, "Oh, I don't think that's the way you do that." What? Why wouldn't it? If I'm doing it that way,
that's right. It's your way.
It works, and it gets you the result that you want. Why wouldn't it be the way that it can be done? And so I always have to give the disclaimer, this is not the only way to do this thing. This is the way I do this thing, because I've had so many people question how I do it. Well, why did you do it like that? I don't think it's supposed. Do you question other people who don't look like me this way? Because I think sometimes their word is just taken as the law.
Right.
And so that is my biggest hurdle, because I know that I have valuable information. I know that I have things to share. I know that I can help someone else, but because of the way I look, it's not received the same way. And so I have to, well, I don't, but there is this expectation that I tone it down, that I sugarcoat it, that I dim my light, and I refuse to. And because I refuse to, it's taking me longer to get to places that other people who don't have to, like, you get to be mediocre and I have to show up excellent every single time.
Right, right.
Like, don't let me make a mistake. Don't let there be a single mistake. And it's like the end of the world. It's, for me, it's just like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna buy another pattern from you because line 2 said this and this, but you give other people grace. Where's my grace? Where is my, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, let me correct that. Right. I don't get that same benefit. It's harder for me. I had people question me when I said my pattern was $4. I've had people question a free pattern. Like, what? It was free. Like, right. What are you talking about? Again, that would be my obstacle. It's just constantly having to be excellent and show up as, you know, and it's just like, why can't I just show up as me and that be okay? I've decided that I'm gonna show up as me anyway. And so it just takes me a little longer to get there, because that's the other thing I tell people, baby, I'm not new to this. Like, I did not just pop up on the scene, because somebody did, they were like, oh, where did she come from? Baby, I've been here. I've been crocheting. Like I said, I learned how to crochet when I was 7, but I have been making money from crochet since 2011. I am not new to this. So there we have it.
Well, thank you so much for showing up as yourself. That is the only way any of us can do this. This is called just life. So your light shines bright. I can feel it. Those of us who are ready to receive the information are here. We are
and
here.
That's what I say. The person who it was meant for, they got it.
That's right.
And that's why I sleep well at night, because the person who it was meant for, they got it. And so that it doesn't matter about it, like like you said, the people who are not ready to receive it, that's okay. Here's the other thing. You're gonna get it one way or the other. That's why I tell people, you might not want it, but you're gonna get it. It's gonna come back around one way or another. You might as well just take it now. Why are you delaying it? Just take it. Come on, so that you can be like, girl, I was there with she. Like, come on, don't wait, you know, for me to like be real famous and have to have somebody, you know, else, you know, schedule interviews and all that kind of stuff. Get me now while I'm still in my little room. Get to it now. Because maybe when I get in the studio, then you're gonna be like, oh, she too good. Yes, I am too good for that.
I might not have time.
I'm gonna still show up, but I'm just saying.
So thank you for that. Absolutely. And you're absolutely who I thought you were, and you're fabulous as you are.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I do have a couple of wrap-up questions. I really didn't think that we would take the entire time, but here we are, only 15 minutes left in our talk. In the very beginning, we talked a little bit about legacy. So what kind of legacy would you like to leave for the generations of Black and Brown makers that follow you?
It has been the same from day one. When I before I became a doll maker, when I was just making hats and scarves, it has always been, I want somebody to be able to come behind me and pick up where I left off. Just be able to be like, oh, she left this here, for me to be able to pick up where I left off. The book sealed the deal for me, because now you can really, like, literally pick up. But that has always been it. Like, I just wanted to lay a path and just say, look, just if you walk this way, turn here, go left here, go straight, come back, because you're gonna have to come back, and then go straight, like, go again. Then this, like, just pick up where I left off. That's all I want. That's all I want, for it to not be so hard for somebody else. If I can make it just a tad bit easier, then I did what I was supposed to do. I did what I was supposed to do. That's it. Just a little bit easier for the next person. And that's what I've said about this book. I've told friends, I was like, I don't like if you got a book idea, let me know. And I will let the publisher, like I can't make any promises, but I will definitely be like, hey, contact this person because I think she got a good idea. Because who am I to gatekeep? Who am I to say, am I supposed to be the only one? Absolutely not. I want to see all of us. But what kind of book idea you got? Oh, okay, let me see. Because now that I got my foot in the door, again, I can't make any promises because I don't know if they listen to what I be saying. But just in case, I will be more than happy to pass the information along.
All you need to do is just open a door and I can get through all by myself. That's all. And you being able to traverse and go through all the work that you did to make it just that bit easier for someone else coming behind you, that's such a beautiful gift that you can
And
give.
that's what I said, use my book as evidence. If they be like, oh, I don't know if that type of book will sell, yes, it will. Because don't make me send you the little note that y'all sent me saying how many books sold, because this is how many y'all told me sold. So we have evidence that they will sell, because that was the other thing. I was like, I'm not sure, but now I'm sure. I'm like, oh no, you can't come and be like, oh, we can't sell that type of book. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Because not only did we sell them, but we sold them without you putting it in a single book box store. My book was not in Barnes and Nobles. It's not in Michael's. It's not in Jones. It's on Amazon and through, independent bookstores who decided to pick me up. That's it. And so for me to have sold that many copies of this book and it not be in some of these bigger bookstores like some of these other books, again, evidence that there is a market for what we do, because that's the other thing. I have been told by some bigger brands, oh, there's no market for that. And so then I'm just like, oh, okay, not a problem. And guess what they had to do? They had to circle right on back around and be like, oh, yeah. You remember when you told me that there wasn't? And so now that I showed you that there is, now it's going to cost you more, because see, before you could have told me what the price was, but now I get to tell you what the price is. Because you didn't jump. Again, y'all better jump on board now when y'all can still kind of dictate what's going to happen. Because once I say what the price is, I promise you, a whole lot of people going to fall off. They're going to be like, never mind, she costs too much.
And that will happen. I do believe that.
Yes. I'm claiming it. It's going to be a whole lot of folks. That costs too much. It do, because I tried to tell y'all to come on when it was only $4, and y'all didn't come on when it was $4. I joke about that because I remember like begging people to buy my $4 patterns, like begging people to pay me $4. It's and I'm just having a moment over here.
Of course, and you are allowed your moment because you've worked very diligently, very hard, and you've persevered. And here you are, and we have this gift of your work, and I know that I'm so grateful for it. And let me tell you, literally tears every single time that I give a doll. Like, people are just so grateful. They're like, who, me? Like, I'm worthy to receive something that you've made. That's priceless. That is.
It is. And like I said, even because it like you said, it's something that you can't describe. But for me, it's always when they look at it and they see like when you see their eyes light up because they see themselves, that moment is indescribable. Like when they walk, like when I do live events and they walk up to the table and they're scanning the table, and then they spot the one that like, and their eyes are just like, and I'm like, that's you. And they're like, that's me. And it's like this, like we have this whole moment where it's just like, oh my gosh, I can't, but like she got it. And so, Yeah, it's an indescribable thing. And again, this is why it will always be what it is for me. I can't change it. If, like, people tell me all the time, oh, you know, you would make more money. And I almost was going to do an experiment and like do dolls under a different name just to see which one would make more money. But then I was just like, no, I don't have time for that. We're not even going to feed into that energy,
Right.
because I know that there's value right here. And this is enough for me. Like, this right here is enough for me, because you can't put a price tag on that feeling.
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to place my energy in something just for the money. You know, even though I do got bills, these bills got to be paid. But at the end of the day, I can't put a price tag on that feeling. And
Right.
so, you know, I did entertain it though. I was just like, oh, that might be a good idea. And then I was just like, no, don't do that, because you might not be my pretty brown dog. All my bills is paid over here. Who knew?
I'm glad you didn't also.
Yes.
And I do believe, I mean, your time is coming. Your time has come.
And that's the thing. It's right now. I am so, like, because here's the thing. Since 2017, I have been able to sustain myself just from being a doll maker. So there are no complaints over here. When I joke about people not knowing who I am, or, you know, not getting the recognition or those type of things, they are like, they're jokes, because I know that the people who need to know me know me.
Yeah.
And I do have a tribe of people who I'm talking about. I could be like, I got water for sale, and they lining up like, we got you, girl, we got you. And like, seriously, if I really was in a situation like, oh my gosh, y'all, I can't pay my rent, they I know they would come through. It's not even a probably. They'll be like, girl, who can't pay their rent? We got you, because if we ain't got you, we got a bed. Like, you can come stay over here. Like, we got you. And see, Dr. Powell, we got you. I know that I have that tribe, and that's, again, I'm good. I'm good over here. The people who need to know me know me. Trust, and I know that the people who, you know me, Cassie, so I'm good.
I was literally fangirling you, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get to meet her. Trust me, there are people like me that you don't know that know you, and it will just continue on. I really do believe that.
Yes.
You know, you brought such a gift to the world. I keep saying that because I really do feel that from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you so much.
So just keep on doing what you're doing.
I am.
It's 8:25, so I'm gonna one more question. And that's like, what could we look forward to from you in the near future? What do you have in store? I heard second book, possibly.
So I'm putting it out there. Hopefully, second book. They did ask for a proposal for a second book, and so I did submit the proposal. Just waiting to hear if they think my idea was a good idea for a second book. So we'll see. It's a good idea for a second book. So they're going to jump on board eventually. So second book, but in the meantime, I do have an HBCU doll series that I'm working on. So I have been working on some inspired dolls, but they're inspired by HBCU. So again, my inspiration is just different images that I've seen of people on HBCU campuses, and can I translate that with yarn? Yeah. So doing that, the boy dolls. So you guys, whether the book comes or not, you guys are going to see the male dolls, because again, that's just something that I want to do. And other than that, nothing else, because I have this 1-year-old who thinks that the world revolves around him. Now, don't ask me why I decided to have a 1-year-old at 42. But I know, girl, I look good. I look good. But I have a 1-year-old at 42. I also have a 21-year-old. So this year I will have a 22-year-old and a 2-year-old, because I literally lost my mind. But that's like, so what you will see is very limited to those 3 things. I am trying to grow my YouTube channel, so you will see more YouTube tutorials and things like that from me, because I really am trying to get a better presence on YouTube. So you'll see, a lot more tutorials and tips and, some of my shenanigans on YouTube. Nice. But that's it. Because when I tell you these, I was like, is this what babies, this what they do? I don't remember this. Like, they climb walls? Are you really Spider-Man? Who are you? At one, like, who are you? And at one, do they eat you out of house and home? Because, sir, how much could you possibly eat in a day? Like, I'm really trying to understand whose child this is. I'm like, so that's it. That's all we can get. So the YouTube channel, I do see your question. It like popped up on screen. Somebody asked for the YouTube channel. It is My Pretty Brown Doll. So if you search for My Pretty Brown Doll, thank you, Becky. Look at Becky on it. Don't put the YouTube. See, when I tell you, I got people that got me. She put the whole YouTube channel right in the chat. But that's it. Everywhere else is My Pretty Brown Doll as well. So if you're on Facebook, Instagram, you can find me under My Pretty Brown Doll. But yeah, that's it. So we got the HBCU doll series, hopefully book number 2, and then some male dolls. You'll also see me playing around with different hairstyles as well. Okay. And you will kind of see that on the YouTube channel, because I get that a lot of times what seems really easy to me is not easy to everybody else. Like, my thought process is, oh, it's just this. Yes. And then, like, even with the ponytail doll, I've had several people like, well, my ponytails are not coming out like that. Why are mine so thick? And I'm just like, are y'all not spacing out the yard? And then I realized, Yolanda, they need to see it. Like, they need to see it. So, hairstyles and things like that are the kind of things that I'll be showing on the YouTube channel as well. Like, this is, again, how I do it. Yes. Not the only way, but this is how I do it.
Well, yes, please. I'm here for the hairstyles. I love that. I haven't done it yet. I do have the Simone pattern. I got her specifically for the hair. Mm-hmm. I have also heard you say, like, it takes forever.
Yeah. I was about to say, anybody who's going to do that hairstyle, just know the hairstyle is the longest part of that doll. And if you're gifting it to someone, make sure that it is someone who you love with every fiber of your being, because there's no way I could give a doll with that hairstyle to anybody, because I'm just like, I don't think you're worthy. You know how long this took me. Like, because you do it's a chain of like 20, and then you single crochet or half double crochet into every single chain, but every single one. It's glorious, but the end result is so worth it. But oh my gosh. Like, I tell people when they say they want that doll, it's $300 off top. The moment you say, oh, I want the Cole's hairstyle, it's $300. Yes. And then in addition to whatever other details you would like. And people pay it, so thank you very much.
And she's gorgeous. She's gorgeous.
She really is. But that hairstyle is, I don't know, somebody come up with the easier way to do that. Like, one time though, I did encourage somebody. I was like, can you just sell me Cole's already made? Like, I will pay you for them, and then just attach them to my doll's head like a weave. Like, just sell them to me on a strip. Yeah. And I will.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah. And I'm like, I seriously would pay for it, and then just attach it to my doll's head like a weave. Like, seriously. If you know, you know. And so if anybody's looking for a way to make some money, there you go, right there. I'm giving out the free 99. You can make some serious money in the Black doll making community if you make the Cole hairstyle in strips for us to just attach to the doll's head like a weave. Like, I would pay like real money for that.
Okay, those of you who know how to crochet, there you go.
Because it's a lot.
Well, Yolanda, we've reached the end.
Okay. Yeah, Nora's back. She's like, all
I
right, wrap it
don't
up.
need to be the
We
face
know
of
now,
doom
we
here.
know now. Yolanda, thank
We
you
appreciate
so
it
much.
so much.
So much. I had so much fun. Thank you again for taking the time.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Tell your daughter you did absolutely amazing and that you should do more of these because I would come, even though I'm not in, make them virtual so I can show up.
Yes, this has really been, again, such a delight. The two of you talking together, again, just a wonderful evening. I know everyone appreciates that. I'm sitting here cackling to myself through this conversation. I'm getting emotional. Again, just in this room alone, it's fine. But it's been wonderful. Again, look how gorgeous these are. You've done such wonderful work to bring
Thank you.
dolls to us, to this new generation of young crocheters. Wonderful. So please, again, everyone out there, follow Yolanda on social media, send her your audiobook recommendations so that she can find some narrators that work for her, and keep following the library for our upcoming programs. And thank you again so much, Yolanda.
Yes. Y'all go sign up for the crochet along, and I cannot wait to see the dolls. Cannot wait to see them.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Nora. Thank you, Cassie. I appreciate it so much.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
Have a good evening. Bye, everyone. Thank you for coming.